Hello, my name is Mike, and welcome to my program, Witchcraft and Gray. This show is dedicated to the practitioners like myself that have found themselves approaching in their 40s or 50s, and whether you have just started the craft or whether you have been practicing for a long time, like myself, you might find it a little bit boggling in these changing times with our practices and our perceptions. So, not actually teaching away, because that's not what witches do, kind of sharing experiences and tips that might help you in your transition and in your life. This is also open, of course, to young practitioners as well. And I realize that I am not giving out the truth, nor is this an attempt to slam any generation, the millennials or what have not. This is just kind of giving you perspective from an old witch of about 28 years. Now, a lot of you may think that's a pretty old witch, and yet there are some of you out there who will tell me to sit down, pup. Okay, I understand. And I understand the witchcraft is a very diverse path, that there are so many facets of it, and there are so many outlooks. And it's a wonderful belief system. The only way I would refer to witchcraft as a religion is if we had to classify any belief system as a religion. Witchcraft, for those of you who may not know and are watching, welcome. Witchcraft is actually a way of life. If we very well can equate and reflect upon the elements around us as being alive and real for us. Take, for example, the earth. Earth is as a mother. What we eat comes from the earth, for the most thing. And of course, the water, the air, and the fire, all in tune together and work together to give us a sustainability, to give us life. So those old superstitions about witches blighting the harvest sounds a little crazy, because why would we blight something that we ourselves need to use? So I kind of encourage my skeptics to keep that in mind. And of course, very shortly, of course, nothing has come into this world without the conjunction of a male and female force, yin and yang, however you want to see it to be, male and female, the sky and the earth, all of those things. And creation has not come into existence without the union of male and female forces. So, brief history, thank you, and would like to say that as the changing days come, and especially during this time of the coronavirus, it is very difficult for people to navigate through spiritually what is going on. And it's very difficult sometimes for myself as to wondering what's going on. But as witches, we have a broader perspective of what's going on in the world than everybody else. Or I should say those who are not witches and those who are kind of upset by the way things are going. This is evolution. This is the way the earth turns and changes and moves. And we have to be able to move with it. Does it mean that the earth itself is going to change? Possibly. Does it mean that there will be changes in nature, changes in the atmospheric pressures? More than likely. Does it mean that certain species are going to go extinct? It's been known to happen. We, as stewards of the earth, we as stewards of nature, simply have to move along with these changes that are going on. Now, I know there's a lot of practitioners out there that seem to think that over the years, the craft does not have what it takes for them to progress. And perhaps they've chosen other paths that are in the occult as well, or in paganism, such as Satanism, or such as Asatru, or Druidism. And this is all perfectly fine. We never stray from the path. We only avert to different paths because that's where we see ourselves going. And that's perfectly fine. It gives you a great appreciation if you decide to stay on the path of Wicca, witchcraft. It gives you a really great appreciation for what witchcraft came from. Witchcraft is primarily a folk religion. It comes from various traditions, from the Celts, the Saxons, the Teutonics, and it also comes, those are the primary beliefs that make up Wicca or witchcraft in the European tradition. And then, of course, there's all the other influences all from around the world: Native American, Egyptian, Indian, Sumerian. So there are many things that kind of make up our broad range of knowledge. So I encourage you to go ahead and look at other paths. And if you feel led to go ahead and find another path, so be it. There's no shame in doing so. But always know that the internal wanderer, the internal quest seeker, is with each and every one of us as witches. We are the ones who want to know different things, and we want to grow and evolve. And it certainly has happened with me from 28 years ago, starting out as a young man in my 20s, being very much the adventurer and the pleasure seeker, thinking that I would be able to get my way through the craft, and going down various paths from various spiritual groups. I found myself where I am today, and so bestowed upon me the title of Life's Traveling Road Scholar. And if any of you choose to go ahead and accept that title for yourself, if you need my permission or you think so, please. Because that's what a witch is. Life's Traveling Road Scholar. Everything that you have come in contact with throughout your life has made up who you are. And when you start the craft, there is no way of telling where you're going to end up. You can't tell where things are going to wind up in the end. Diviners may go ahead and do their readings in any way, shape, or form to look to the future, but you probably won't have you probably won't have a clear vision, because no one knows exactly what it means or what things are going to become. Going into Norse mythology, and in particular the language, past, present, and future are broken down in 3 words of Herder, Verdandi, and Skulp. This refers to the 3 Norns that came out of the east after the Aesir and the Vanir came through their war and made settlement. And Herder means the past, Verdandi is the present, And of course, skull is that which has not yet come. And so in their belief, the Norse belief, there is a future, but it's one that one cannot look into. Or if you did, it perhaps might be perplexing, for it brings out the fatalist question: if you knew what your fate was, would you do everything to avoid it, or would you play into it? A thing to think about. So, as I said, my path has started out various careers, going from everywhere, and it's this, what I'm saying does have a point. Starting out from restaurants, going into design, and going into optical, being unemployed, delivering phone books, delivering notices, and then going into medical field, going into optical technicians field, going into medicine, learning different things. And as I go along, remind you, my fields, I spent quite a bit of time in each. I think perhaps the shortest time I had in any field was 6 months. So you have to realize that each of these fields I stayed in, I studied, I learned, and a lot of my original views, and particular concerning medicine, were quite compromised. I was very much an herbal medicine user and kind of looked down upon antibiotics and probiotics, and if it wasn't directly related to the earth, then how can you really trust it? And then you get into something like medical, and you see that there are different treatments for people, and you see that there are different ways of healing. You actually get to see the metamorphosis of the early herbalists to the modern medicine and how things came to being. And believe it or not, there are a lot more doctors out there who actually know the true history of medicine, going all the way back to witches. It's very interesting to see. But again, there are some who think it's all hooey, and they want nothing to do with it. But what I'm telling you is what you learn, from all of the years you have as a practitioner in the craft. All of the things you pick up, all of the things you learn, going into historical societies. And then all of a sudden you learn different things about historical societies. In particular, medieval historical society, and I'm sure everyone knows which one I'm talking about. Or you may not, Society for Creative Anachronism. One thing you will learn when you pick up from there is whatever art or whatever idea you go into is how people truly lived. How they truly lived, how they survived, and you, all of a sudden, the ideas you had about the ancient old witches and what they do in their little shacks and what they're doing, all of a sudden that changes. Because you're looking at archaeological proof. You're looking at the way clothes were worn. You're looking at the way combat was done. You're looking at the way medicine was made, dancing, customs, and then all of a sudden it just kind of changes your perspective about what witchcraft is and maybe what it turned out to be. For example, the one thing that changed with me is that learning that during the day doing rituals, which of course we can, it's senseless to burn a candle. You learn from back then that candles were very rarely lit. Candles were lit primarily in the nighttime, and they were lit primarily to see. They were not as convenient as they are today. There were no dollar store candles. They were actually very hard and very complex to make and very expensive to put together. So it kind of gives you a new perspective as to how people lived and how people worked. And the spiritual aspect of this, which is the most powerful, is that when you're there, when you're in this medieval environment, even though there are signs of moderness everywhere around you, and you're not completely 100% drenched into the early periods of medieval history, you still can't help but to feel presence of the old ones, presence of the gods around you. There's enough things there that give you that feeling. Like over a 100-acre celebration, and you have to walk through all of it, mainly all of it. So it takes away all the modern feel. But the main thing to pick up from that is the way that people lived, how they felt, what were their obstacles, what were their ways of life, what were some of the things that were the real obstacles or advantages. And yes, it is a bit of a study. It's a study into humanity. So all of the books you read also make up you as that life's traveling road scholar. Studying different religions, studying different philosophies, studying anything. Reading books, reading novels, getting to know what was actually said instead of quoting it. Getting to look through religious history. All of these things make up the witch. All of these things make the person whole, or as the Norse say, wihas. But I come today to help out, possibly, or to give some support or perhaps evoke some questions about the craft. A lot of things I have studied in the craft and related subjects, religions of the craft. And I'm going to be covering different topics as the days come. I certainly hope all of you out there appreciate what I am going to give you as far as my knowledge and my experiences. If you don't, please throw raw fruit, not canned. That hurts less. And if you do like what I'm saying, of course, please like and share. So give your comments, suggestions. I'm always open to them. And of course, if there's any exact criticisms, I'm open to that too. But it would be good to know a lot of you out there and to see exactly how everyone's doing and getting to know new faces out there in the witchcraft community. And would love to share some more experiences as I am in these videos, or perhaps seeing you one-on-one. To let you know, I'm in the Bay City, Michigan area. Love it out here in the Great White North. There's really less hassle from what I understood from the South. And people around here can wear clothing of different opinions and jewelry out in the open, and no one gets harassed. So my opinions on the craft may be a little bit different than some of you who have to hide it, or have to walk away, or have been battled on a current basis. And so I don't pretend to give all the answers. But what I'm going to do is just give you my point of view if you have anything to do with standing up for beliefs or organizing rallies. These things I've also done as well. And I would be happy to share with you my opinions on things. Not trying to be a grand high muckety-muck, not trying to tell everybody what to do, just kind of sharing my ideas. If you don't like them, okay, you don't. If you do, I'd like to hear it. So, before this old man goes rumbling on and on and on, I'm going to say, blessed be, thank you for watching, and please like and share if you like what you saw today. Have a good day.